In the news this week, the voluntary assisted dying legislation finally passed. We explore what this means for young people and how the House voted.
More jobs for WA as manufacturing begins for emergency services trucks ahead of the bushfire season.
Protect yourself. Travellers advised to update measles vaccination following overseas outbreaks.
And major science discovery to be revealed at the NASA Researchers Conference. Plus, we kick off part 1 of the 2019 series review on Western Perspective. That's coming up.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smith.
Good evening. Slow and steady wins the race. After 100 hours of debate, the tortuously slow voluntary assisted dying bill has passed the upper house. But the situation was far from perfect. We explored why some MPs voted yes, why some voted no, and what it means for young people. Helene Fong reports.
Members, the results of the division are ayes 24, noes 11.
After weeks of debate and many long nights, the upper house has finally passed a voluntary assisted dying bill with a 24-11 vote in favour of its passing.
Those that have supported it were completely ecstatic.
When asked why should young people care about it, Minister for Jobs and Trade Alana McTiernan said it's because young people get old too.
We've seen heard many stories of intergenerational trauma that have been caused by families that have witnessed long, agonising death.
However, WA One Nation leader Colin Ticknell voted against the bill after amendments he wanted to see were voted down.
And so we were just going down by 1 or 2 votes on the very important ones, because the people in the House realised how important they are. And they were divided. They weren't too sure which way they were going to go. There's a million different reasons why people don't support this bill. Some people are religious and it's against their conscience. They believe in a certain thing, and we have to respect that.
Strong criticisms have levelled at Nick Gorin, accused of filibustering and obstructing the passage of the bill with 400-odd amendments, and at Mark McGowan for his criticism of opponents of the bill. Although the final approvals are expected to be passed on Tuesday, it will be 18 months before the scheme is available to patients in WA. Helene Fong, WAM News.
WA is set to enhance its emergency services with new fire trucks to begin manufacturing in Collie to boost the state's bushfire readiness. It's part of the state government's plan to get more people into jobs while preparing for the fire season. Nelson Liu reports.
They're brand new and ready for service. Fire trucks preparing WA for bushfire season.
This is a win for our bushfire volunteers across the state.
Around 354,000-litre four-wheel drive and ultralight vehicles will be manufactured in a state government investment, boosting firefighters' capabilities.
It's something that they've called for many, many years, about having the right vehicle for the right conditions.
2 contracts have been awarded worth $125 million, with a third to tender for lighter vehicles.
We need to make sure that with our bushfire volunteers across the state, we do the utmost for them to keep them safe.
These fire trucks give firefighters extra preparation while in a fire, with a water deluge system and a distress button when in danger. The trucks will also be a boon for WA by bringing its manufacturing to Collie, boosting jobs in the town. 17 full-time jobs will be established, with the remainder in Perth.
It shows that West Australian contractors can do great work.
And it's exciting to know that we'll be able to employ an additional 30 staff members to carry on.
The government says more manufacturing and firefighting expansion plans are on the cards for Collie, and it's only the start to improving the economy for locals. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
2 new furry frontline warriors in a battle against invasive pests have arrived in WA. Biosecurity sniffer dog Collar and Willow will lead the search for the nests of imported red fire ants that snuck past border security guards in Fremantle. The sensitive-nosed animal arrived in WA on Monday and got to work straight away on Tuesday, toughing out the heat for their 7-hour work days. The dog handler told reporters that the dogs are trained using a play-reward techniques, so that the task of searching out the nests is a game to the animals.
All they care about is that game and that reward happening. So we use that play. That's their whole primary motivator. So when we're going out and working, they find their odour. They just anticipate that the game's about to start and it's about to get really, really fun.
WA travellers are being advised to update their measles vaccinations following outbreaks in popular holiday destinations. people aged 20 to 53 may need an immunisation booster before travelling, with outbreaks occurring in New Zealand, Samoa, Tonga and Fiji. The McGowan government says the advice is especially for young Australians, who they say aren't invincible.
We've seen the situation in Samoa, where over 60 people have lost their lives to this potentially deadly disease. Those between the ages of 20 and 53, though, should look out to make sure that their immunisation or their vaccinations are up to date. It's important you contact your GP.
Summer has started with a bang, says the Bureau of Meteorology, as Perth scorches in the hottest first week of December on record. A cooler weekend gave some reprieve, but unreasonably high temperatures are forecasted for next week as well. By the middle of this coming week, temperatures are expected to be back into the mid to high 30s. Perth is unlikely to break the 50-degree mark this summer, but Bennett says the far north of the state will probably see days getting close to the half century.
Normally the very hot part of temperature-wise for December is out towards the back end of the month, but what we've seen now is the earliest day of 40 degrees in December. We're also looking at potentially the hottest week, the first week in December as well, so it has been an exceptionally warm start to the month.
In the United States, the Speaker for the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, says that the House is preparing articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump. If the bill is passed, a Senate inquiry will be held. Ms. Pelosi denied she hated anybody and alleges that Mr. Trump abused his power. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump tweeted earlier this week predicting that he will win, as the Republicans are united. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has published a 100 days plan, as he was confident that he will win the election. Mr. Johnson's plan is reportedly supported by the members of the Brexit Party in the European Parliament. It's understood that Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn is having a hard time trying to increase his popularity, as Mr. Johnson is promising voters that Britain will leave the EU on the 31st of January next year.
Researchers at NASA will be presenting new findings on space science this coming Monday, with major draw cards on the latest discovery of polar cyclone storms on Jupiter and a new insight into the sun's effect in space. The Parker Solar Probe mission recently revealed the sun's constant ability of ejecting materials and energy into space. These information will also help scientists understand how stars are created, at the same time protecting future astronauts, as NASA plans to send the first woman and the next man to the moon by 2024. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on the website and social media pages.
Until next Sunday after 8 p.m, thank you for watching. Good evening.
Take care.